ladies and gentlemen. In the honor of Flutter Day, today we are joined by Mr. Hasnen Tai, who is a software engineer at Toshiba and also the founder of the famous YouTube channel by the name of Trending Codes. He is here today to tell us more about principles of animation in Flutter and just more about it. So over to you, sir.
So hey everyone, I hope you guys are doing absolutely fine. We had some tough time, but I hope in the future we will be, covering up soon. And yeah, so as I said, my name is Hasnan and I work as a software engineer at Toshiba, India. And I have a YouTube channel called Trending Codes where I'm not regular, to be frank. But yeah, previously I used to make videos, but right now I'm not active on that because of so much of hectic schedule and so much of work. But I'll just make sure that I'll come back and make some good videos on the YouTube, and I can share the knowledge what I have on the Flutter especially. So coming to today's topic, today we are going to talk about the animations in Flutter, right? So this is the much hot topic, and people like how to do animations in the Flutter, because compared to the different the React Native part and the iOS Swift part and the Android native part, when it comes to the Flutter animations, I feel it is more easy compared to them, right? So today that is what we are going to talk about, and we will understand that when you're going to use what type of animations, because Flutter has separated many animations into implicit and explicit. We call it as implicit and explicit, but we need to know what we need to use at what time and what fits our requirement, and we should go along with that requirement. So let's make sure that we understand how animation works in Flutter, or in the generally in the real world, and how we can have a thinking where we can just think about how to make that animation and what approach we need to use to implement that animation into your Flutter app, right? So moving forward, let's see how we define Flutter. I mean, how we define animation in a generic term, right? Or not in the Flutter, but in the real world, how we define animations. So let's say you have an image or a 10 separate image which has a different state of that image, So if you play that image frequently, that becomes an animation, right? So it's just about displaying an image with a different state of that object and repeating that over and over time, or just making that frame rate higher. That makes an animation of that object, right? So animation, we can call it as a sequence of still image, right? We just repeat that image again and again on the display, right? And that becomes the animation. But we need to make sure that the image has a different state, whatever we are rendering every time, so that it just makes a visualization that yes, this object is having a life, right? So moving forward, we can see what we have when animation is in action. So now let's just take an example that we have 4 frames, right? And what we want to do is, in the 5 seconds, we want to convert our square to a circle. And this is how exactly behind the screens the animation work, right? You have a circle, and then on the A frame, you have a square and the frame A. And on the frame B, with some amount of time, maybe let's say on the seconds, on the 2 seconds, the curves are being changed, right, for that square. And you can see at the end of the frame E, the curves are totally banned, and that square is changed to a circle, right? So it's just about displaying the image frequently, right? Where we can say that we are just giving a life to an object by just showing that image frequently, or by just repainting that image with some frames per second. So over here, we have a timeline of 5 seconds, right? In the 5 seconds, we are changing square to a circle with the rate of 24 FPS, right? So higher the frame rates, smoother the animations, right? So over here you can see some lags effect that is intentionally kept so that you can see that there is some image moving through, and how the exact the shape is being changed, right? So yeah, the thing is about putting image and repainting that image again and again with a different state makes an animations, right? So these animations generally in the real world, this is how the animation work, right? Putting the image in a sequence with a different state and repainting it again and again makes the animations visualization that this object is having a life, right? So currently the object is having a life where we are changing the position and the size of that and the shape of that object, right? So yeah, this is how the animations work. But how about if we want to go ahead and do these things into the Flutter? How it works and what should we use? And that is what we are going to learn today. So moving forward, what we're going to see over here is let's talk about implicit animations in the Flutter. What is implicit animations in the Flutter, right? Now, you are a newbie into the Flutter and you want to start doing some animations, or you want to keep playing with some animations into the Flutter, I would highly recommend to start working with the implicit animations first, because that will make you understand how animations work and how you can move forward and do some great animations into the Flutter. So this is the easiest way to add animations, or to put some life to an object, I would say. So yeah, this is the easiest way, and you can start with an implicit animations. What are implicit animations actually? uh, to The Flutter team has given us a widget, right, where we can use that widgets directly without creating or handling some extra animations. That widgets will take care always what exactly should happen with your animations, right? So you should not be an expert to start with an implicit animations, right? If you are a newbie, you can just go ahead and start doing that implicit animations into your Flutter app. But let's see what are those widgets available to work with into the Flutter, right? So moving forward, these are the animations or the implicit animated widgets available into the Flutter, right? So the most used widget, which is container, right? And to make it easy, we got an animated container from the Flutter team, right? What help does this animated container gives you is that, let's say if you want to change the size, or if you want to move that container of your let's say the height and width of the container is 120, and if you want to change that height of the container to 200, right? So using that container, you cannot see that visualization or the animation happening, the size changing, right? Because it doesn't have a repainting of again and again. It's just frequently change the size and the height and the width of the container so fast that you cannot visualize what's happening on the screen, right? Now, to do that, we have something called animated container, right? So what happens with the animated container is that you provide a height and width as a dynamic parameter, not a static parameters, right? So you might store the height and width into some variables first, right? So when your apps initialize, you store the height and width of the container in some variables, right? And maybe on the button click, you're going to set a state of that particular variables, changing the height from let's say 64 to 120, right? So the initialization of the variable of height and width is going to be a 64 pixels, right? And then when you click on the button, the state is going to change from 64 to 120 pixels, right? Now, when you use an animated container, the changes of from 64 to 120, you're going to visualize with some duration of time, right? So whenever you use animated container, you have to always define a duration, because you need to say the compiler that in this much amount of time you need to complete this animation, right? So if we just go back and take a look over here, we have a time period over here, a time frame line, which we can say the animation of square changing to a circle is happening into a 5 seconds. So I'm providing a time over here that in 5 seconds you need to complete the animation. So whatever changes is going to happen, that is going to complete from 0 to 5, right? So in our case, what we're talking about an example is that the container, which is going to be of 64 by 64, is needs to change to 120 by 120, right? So that 120 from 64 to 120 is going to happen into a 5 seconds, and that 5 seconds you're going to see that there is a changes happening on the screen, right? Now in the same way, we have many widgets which we have as an position. For position, we have animated position. For padding, we have animated padding. Opacity, we have animated opacity. And alignment, animated align, right? Now these animations, we can directly use it by just providing the dynamic parameters as per the requirement. And we do not need to handle this because the animated container widgets will handle your animations. You do not need to create animated controller, or you do not need to have a single ticket provider to make this animation work. Right now, let's go ahead and take a look how exactly the animated container works when it goes to an action into the Flutter app, right? So right over here, I have two apps, right? On the left-hand side, there is no animated container used. But on the right-hand side, there is an animated container used, which change the size of the box with a 5 seconds, right? So if you just take a look, when I click on the right-hand side, there is an animation happening slowly. It takes 5 minutes, 5 seconds to change the height and width of the container. But on the other hand side, there is no animated container, and you cannot animate the container because we are just using the normal container. Let's go ahead and take a look how it exactly works, or how it exactly looks when we just code it, right? So right over here, I just want to trigger my app so that we can go ahead and take a look what's happening. So I have a widget which I called is as an implicit animated container, right? Now you can see over here, I have already used animated container, right? And this animated container have two stuff, which is given extra as an extra parameter for only animated container, right? Now, if I change this to a container, I will get an error. The IDE will throw me an error saying that the duration and curve, you cannot use it because, of course, it is not available for the container, but it is available for the animated container. So let us just wait to build this app, and let's see how animation looks like when into an action. Okay, before moving forward, let's understand the code, what's happening exactly. So I have a column, right? And inside the column, I have animated container, right? Which is right over here. And underneath of that animated container, I have a elevated button, right? And that button just set the state of height and width, right? So on the top, you can see I am just providing the height and width of 94 by 94. So you can see over here, I have a container with a predefined height and width that is 94, right? And what's happening when I click on that, I'm going to set the state, and I'm going to check whether the height is 120, then I'm going to change it to a 94. But if it is it is 64, but it is not 120, then I'm going to change it change it to the 120. So basically, it's just doing a reverse animation, right? So if we just go ahead and take a look over here, you can see there is an animation happening, right? And it just go back. It just comes up with this is the 120 and this is 64. Now this is only possible because we are using animated container, and we are make sure that we are not using over here any controller, right? Because the animated container is responsible to handle all these animations. But the drawback over here is that you don't have any control on this animation, right? You just have a control of height and width. Other than that, you cannot do anything. Yeah, you can just increase the duration, and you can increase or I mean, you can change the curves, right? So when I talk about the curves, let me just first go ahead and change this to a normal container and see what we have, right? So I'll just change this to a container, and we should get an error. Cool. And I'll just remove this. Here we go. And let's see what we get. Is it hot reloading or not? Where is my console? Where is my console? Okay, here is my console. Let's see what's happening. Do I need to reload? I don't know, something is wrong. It's not reloading. Let me just restart the app. Oh, here we go. Now it is doing a hot restart. Okay. Cool. So over here we have a 94 by 94 square, and if I just go ahead and change it, there's no animations, right? So this is where if you have a requirement, you just want to animate in some durations, you just want to do some animations which just change the height and width, then you can just go ahead and take this container into a usage, right? But if you want to have a more specific control, then of course you need to use an explicit animations. So yeah, that is where the usage difference comes into the picture. Now, moving forward, what do we have is that let's go ahead and take a look on how exactly what's happened with the position as well. So here is the position, right? And if I just go down to my main, so I just don't need to scroll because I have a bookmark app which holds my build method, so that I don't need to remember the line number, or I don't need to search. These bookmarks work perfectly fine. So what I'll do over here is I'll try to use my position something. I don't remember the method name which I created. No, that is not the method name which I created. Let me just go ahead and, oh, here we go. Implicit animated position. Yeah, it was just on the top of my build. Okay, so let me just save this. Right, I don't know what's wrong, that the hot reload is not working or something. I just need to restart always. Okay, here we go. So we have a container which changes the position from maybe left to right. Let me just take a look. Yeah. So over here, I have used an animated position widget, right? Which usually change the position from left to right, right? And the initial position is 0, right? So you can see over here, the initial position of p left variable at the time of initialization is 0. Let's just take a look over here. So you can see it is just a 0.0, right? And that is being initialized and given to the widget tree, saying that you should, when the tree renders for the first time, you should be at the 0. So of course it will be on the left-hand side corner, you can see on the emulator, right? But I want to change the position. So I'll do the same thing, that if the p left value is on 120, I'm going to make it to 0.0, or else if it is on 0, I'm going to make it 120. So it just reverses the animation, right? So this is just, I'm just using a gesture detector on this, and if I just go ahead and change the position, if I click on that, it takes 5 seconds to change the position from 0.0 to 120. In the same way, if I now the p left value is 120, the state of a p left value is 120 right now. So if I just go ahead and click on the change position, it just go back to 0.0. But it takes a 5 seconds, so we can see the transition from 120 to 0, right? So here it is. If I click on it, we can see the transition from 120 to 0, right? Now, again, you need to use this when you just want to animate your widget just a position, because coming to the different control on your on your widget, you don't have a more control when you're using implicit animations widget, right? You just have a control of duration and a curve. That's all. Now, coming to the duration, you might just understood right over here in the other slide that I show that animation requires a time. Without duration or time, the animations won't work, because animation itself means that it needs to change the position or shape in some specific amount of time, right? So yeah, the duration is most important, and none of the implicit animated widget or implicit widgets work without duration. So duration is must. But the optional part is the curve. What is curve, right? Now, I'll just show it right over here. So the Flutter document has, I guess, maybe more than 20 or 15 or 20 curves. You can just go ahead and use those curves directly into your app. Now, how each curves works over here. So now I'll just zoom it out so you can get to know. Right. So over here, we have a curve with the name of curve.bouncing, right? Now, it has a bouncing curve effect. So when you add this curve to your animations will have a bounce effect. So you can see over here, we have a translation, rotation, scale, and opacity. How all the transition works is just will be displayed over here. So if I just play over here, you can see how the curve effect is happening on your animations, right? Now we have n numbers of curve, and you can use that into your app just like this. As we saw, if I go to the animated container, back to the animated container over here. So in that animated container which we saw previously, I'm using a curve which is in circle, right? So this curve, the animation was happening using this curve. Now you can create your own curve, or else you can use this curves class, and you can use this method that is right over here, method names, right? The curves.bounce in out, or the curves.bounce out, the curves.declarative. But the default curve which you will find with the animation is the linear curve. So whenever you create an animation, and if you don't define the curves, it is going to be a linear always. So you can see this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis, or we can call it as in time, right? Is a t. So let's just take it as an time. So we have a time from 0 to 1.0, and we have an x-axis of again 0 to 1.0. Now this curve defines how the transitions or the rotation or the scale should happen with that animation object which we are trying to animate, right? So if you just take a look over here, the curve starts, and right over here in this, when it is completing to 0.3 or 0.4, it's just fasten the speed, right? And then it just go linear over here. So over here, the speed is being fastened, and then there is a linear. So this is what exactly the curves are defined. And as I said, you can create your own curves as well. But yeah, you need to be more specific with what you're creating, because I think most of the animations, just the animations which are well known, will be over here in this curves. So you can use these curves and your animation should be working fine. But yeah, you can create your own animations curves, and I guess that is available somewhere on the Flutter video itself. So you can just go ahead and take a look over there as well, or maybe in the documentation. Definitely will find in some documentation. So here we have a different curves, and I just wanted to show the linear curve. If I get, yeah, over here, the curves.linear. So can you see there is no change in this? It just goes the same speed, and the curve is just straight. There is no slow or fastened speed in the whole from 0 to 1.0. So as per the time, it is just linear. So if I'll just play it, you can see it is just linear and nothing happens. But over here, you can see the transition, how it is happening. First it's just fastened, then again it's slow down, and then at the end it's fastened. So when the curves go faster, it just go up, right? And when it becomes slower, it just come down. Or if it is at linear speed, it just be at the same level, right? So yeah, we have n numbers of curves. You can go ahead and take a look on the curve class, and you can use the curves whatever you want, or whichever it fits your animations or your requirement. So yeah, the ease out is my favorite one. I most probably, when I do an animations, or when I just add an animation to an app, I just use these ease and out most of the time, because it just look perfect. Here it is. Yeah. Okay. So over here, we just take a look on the container, the animated container, and the position. Right now, moving forward, I already talked about the container and animated container. Right over here, we have the duration and curves, which we just take a look. So over here, you can see in this piece of code, we have a duration, we have a curve, which I'm using which I just showed in the app. I guess I need to stop the app to just increase the performance of my presentation. I just don't want to, uh, have a laggy effect, right? But we'll be using this app frequently throughout the presentation, right? So on this era, or on this piece of code, we can see that the duration is 1 second, so the animation happening in the 1 second, and the curve we are using, the same we were using in the code. So we just saw that how exactly the animated container work. So you might be able to understand now when you need to use an implicit animation, right? Because when you don't want to have a more control on your object or on your animation, you can use this, and you do not need to take care of extra things, that you do not need to import the single ticker provider. You do not need to create an animated controller, and you do not need to use animated widget. So this is how these things are useful when it comes to a choice of a normal animation, right? Now moving forward, what do we have now? Let's say if you want to have a custom implicit animations, right? Maybe you want to, right now we just saw that we can change the height and width of the animation. But let's say in this example, I have a sun in the galaxy which is being rotated, right? Now how you can achieve this animation with the implicit animations? So there is no widget which can automatically rotate, right? I mean, there is no implicit animations which can automatically rotate, but you can create a custom implicit animation where you will have a control that at what time the rotation should happen, in what degree the rotation should happen. That is exactly the piece of code you can see over here. So I have a container which holds the background image of as in galaxy stars, right? And it has a full height and width. So over here, and then I have a decoration image which just pull the image from the network. So I don't know, this image is coming from some network, and yeah, all credit goes to them. This is not my image. So over here we have an image which covers the background with the galaxy stars, and then we have a centered tween animation builder right over here. So you can see we have a tween animation builder, right, which allows you to create a custom implicit animations. So what happens is that you can easily provide your tween, right? So now what exactly you're doing over here is you're creating a tween of as in zero, right? Which should start with an angle of zero. The rotation should start with an angle of zero, and it should complete with the angle of 360. So I'm just providing and as a target value. So what is target value? I'll just show in my code so that you will get an idea. So over here we have a target value, right? So this target value is double of math pi. So I guess this is 360. I'm not sure. I'm not too good at the math, but maybe yeah, this provides a 360. Or maybe I can just get to know from some commands what it provides. Uh, okay. I have so many comments, but I'm just not taking a look on it. But yeah, at the end of the session or maybe in the break, I'll just go ahead and take a look. Cool. Yeah. So moving forward, this animation is just about rotating the sun from 0 to 360-degree, right? So I'm just creating a 360 over here, the targeted value, and I'm providing that targeted value to my tween class of type double. So this tween is going to generate a number from 0 to 360, right? Now this number should be provided down to the widget tree, saying that you need to change the rotation of the sun image. Okay, well, this object, the sun, is again an image which is on the top of the our galaxy image. So the galaxy image is on underneath of that sun image. So you can see I have two image. The first network image is the galaxy image or the stars image, and the image.network, which is coming as a sun over here. So again, all credits go to the image provider, right? So apart from that, this number is provided using Tween animation builder. So what is the use of Tween animation builder over here? You can do this same thing with the explicit animation as well, but again, you do not need to create the animated controller. You do not need to bring in the single ticker provider, and you do not need to dispose it as well. You do not need to initialize it as well. You can just use this widget directly, which will take care of all those things by default. You just need to provide what you need inside the tween, right? So you might need a color change as well. So you can change this tween to a tween color, right? Or else I feel the numbers work perfectly fine. So I have a tween of double, let's say 0.0 to 360, right? So with the duration of 20 seconds, I want to rotate my sun 360-degree, right? So what's happening exactly over here is the same thing. So I'm using a transform.rotate widget, which asks for an angle, how much angle you need to rotate your object. So object is nothing but the child you're going to provide. So child is a widget. You can provide image, you can provide container, you can provide anything, whatever you want, and it will be easily rotatable with the angle which is coming down under the tree. So now this angle is coming from where, right? Now this tween generates a number from 0 to 360. So this 0 to 360 is nothing but an angle, right? Now how it is coming underneath to the child is using this builder property, right? So we are using a tween animation builder, right? This builder property take three things, that is the context, then the angle. The angle is nothing but the number which is generated by this specific tween, right? So this holds the number over here. So when the animation start, it will be 0, and within the 20 seconds on each and every frame, these angles get updated, and these angles will be provided over here, and you can see the rotation of the object. But did you notice that we are not using any set state over here? Is because we are using an tween animation builder. So you can create a custom implicit animation, and you do not need to take care of set state and other animated animation controller and stuff, because this widget itself has a power and it takes care of everything. You just need to provide the values, and those values will be undercome, or it will be passed down to the widget tree, and the things will be happening. So right over here, this angle, right, changes every time into the 20 seconds, and on every 20 seconds the rotation happens, right? So yeah, you can easily go ahead and create any animation with the help of Tween Animation Builder. It's just about changing the type of what you're going to do. So let's say if you want to create a color tween animation, you can use tween of type color, and you can just go ahead and provide the color over here, saying that the beginning color should be white and the ending color should be black. So there will be a transition from color white to a black. And of course you need to change the type, because we are changing the type over here as well. So the type changes and come down over here as in color. So you will get a value over here of that color, and you might be having a container instead of rotate transition transform dot rotate, because we cannot provide a color on the image. Or else what you can do is you can just provide a filter on the image, and you can pass in the color using the color filter widget, which is available in the Flutter, right? So yeah, you just need to take care that whatever type of tween you are creating, that same type just comes in into the builder. So if it is color over here, it should be color over here itself, because this value get updated right over here. So it should be same always when you change the animation, right? So this is what exactly happening. If you guys want to take a look on the real-time animation into an action into the Flutter app, or we can just go ahead and trigger the implicit custom animation. I guess this is the method name. I need to go ahead and give it to my build. So right over here, I'll just change the method and I'll update. I'll just start my application. So I don't have a much powerful system there. I can just go ahead and run the presentation as well as the emulator. So that's the issue right now, because it consumes so much of memory. It's really tough to present the screen or to be live and do coding live, because it will be too much laggy. Yeah, it works, but it will be too much laggy. So let's wait till this animation comes into an action. But I hope you guys understood what exactly happening with the implicit animation container. So this is the exact same code which I just show you over here. I can till the animation comes into the action, I can just go ahead and take a look on the comments. If we have any questions so far, we can use out of the box shape as well. I mean, those which aren't used normally in the day-to-day life. Of course, see, you can use any shape, you can draw anything into the Flutter, because you have a canvas available for you, right? So you can create any shapes and you can create any animations on the shape. But the only thing is, when it comes to a custom shape, right, you need to be more careful what animation you're going to put onto that shape. Let's say if that shape has only, we saw the size, right? If that has only size, then yeah, you can use the those implicit animations, but there is no restriction that you cannot create a different size or different shapes. You can draw any shape, you can draw the cartoons as well, you can draw your face as well. So there is nothing like you cannot do anything. So you can see the animation. I guess the animation I just need to reload. So the animations come into an action, and you can see there is a rotation, right? So that is how exactly it works when it is into an action. So this animation looks quite good, and it's feel it is too real for me, to be frank. So it has a rotation of 0° to 360°, right? But it takes 20 seconds to complete this. But in the real world, we have an issue over here with this animation. The sun rotates for only 20 seconds and then it's just stopped. But that is not the case in the real world. Maybe our Earth, or maybe any object which revolves in the space, it just get rotating, right? Okay. We weren't expecting special forces. I don't know. what I mean. Can we animate objects from one screen to another? Of course, you can. There is no restrictions. You can do it, and I would say if you want to do that, we have a widget for that as well. We called it as a hero widget or a hero animation, where you can take that widget from one screen to another, and you will have a nice curve effect as well. So the material design provide you that as well. So you can just go ahead and use the hero animations to take one widget to the another widget, and there will be a nice animations over there. So yeah, you can do that. There is no restrictions. Okay, moving forward, I cannot see the any questions in the chat right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look on our problem. So this animation has a problem that the sun just rotate for 20 seconds, but that is not the case in the real world. Uh, why this problem is there into this animation is because you're using a custom implicit animation and you do not have more control. What is the control over here which is missing? The missing control is that you can only rotate your animation in one direction and you cannot repeat that, right? Now, this is because you don't have a control on repeating the animations. If you want to repeat the animations on the same with the same tween animation builder, you need to add some extra logics over there, that maybe if you reach 360-degree, you just make it 0 and then rotate again. But that is not the perfect way to do that, because to serve the purpose of repeating the animations, we have a different kind of animations available. Why don't we just go ahead and use that instead of writing our own custom logic? Because once we add our own logics, it will be a buggy and it will not be the perfect. So it's always a better option to use the APIs or the available widgets, where we can just reduce the time and we can have a perfect outcome what exactly we want, right? So the problem with this animation is that it just rotates 360-degree and then it just stopped. But that is not the case in the real world. The sun rotates, or the earth, or whatever the object presents in the space, they just keep rotating throughout the life. They are still rotating. They rotated in the past and they will keep rotating in the future. So that is nothing but a repetition, right? So how do we how do we overcome these problems, and how can we do that into the Flutter? What others way of doing all those things? So let's go and take a look over here. So now, to overcome this problem, we have a built-in explicit animations as well. Now, when I talk about explicit animations, you should be always thinking of animation controller, right? See, when it comes to an explicit animations, means that you're going to have a more control on your animations. You're going to have a whole grab of your animations. You can do whatever you want with that particular thing, right? But there is one more thing which we have as in built-in widgets for explicit animations. Let's say you do not want to have a more complex animations, and you just want to have a scale, fade, align, slide, rotate, position, or maybe a decorated box transition. You can use these widgets through right away into your Flutter app. Now, the problem with this widget, which we saw over here, I'm sorry, that it doesn't repeat the animation, right? Now, I used over here a transform.rotate, right? I can use that again by providing some other values, but I have a built-in rotation transition, right? Which asks an angle again along with the animation controller. So I will use this rotation transition to overcome that problem, and I can repeat my transition again and again, or my animation again and again, and it just keeps going on until my Flutter app is alive, right? So let's move forward and take a look. So in this example, you can see the sun is just rotating throughout the entire Flutter life. Flutter app live. But how do we achieve this? uh, let's not just go to the init state right now. Let's just take a look what we have written inside the widget tree. So this is just same as the previous, and even this is same. The center and the child of this image is same. But right over here, you can see I have used a rotation transition, right? And it asked for the turns. Now, turns is nothing but a value from 0 to 1, right? Now, when I say the value is 0, it means a 0 angle. And when I say 1, it means a 360, right? So this animation controller right over here, which I have just declared over here as an animation controller, I'm initializing with the vsync as this, and I'm giving a duration of 20. So the the major part is that over here, that the rotation, what is happening over here is same over here. But what adds an extra thing over here is that this repeat extension, right? So whatever happening, the rotation that is 0 to 1, it just keep going because I'm using the extension repeat extension on the animation controller. So this sun will just keep rotating always whenever the Flutter widget is on the screen, right? So over here you can see it asks for the turns. Turns is nothing but from 0 to 1. So this value generates the this animation controller generates the value from 0 to 1, right? And under 20 seconds, and I have used a repeat, right? And this repeat just makes sure that once they reach the end, they just continue, and they just keep doing that again and again, and there will be no end of the animation, right? So these problems overcome whatever we saw in the previous slides. The problem has been overcome, and you can use the built-in explicit transition. So when I say that explicit transition, they always required an animation controller, right? But again, using this rotation transition, you do not need to create or write some more logics to just make that rotation and keep going and going, because you have a repeat over there, and you just provide the turns, how many turns you want or what type of turn you want, and you can provide that turn, and it just repeat throughout the widget is available on the screen, right? So this just overcome the problem of repeating the transaction, just adding the animation controller and using a repeat extension, right? Now moving forward, let's take a look what we have over here. So when I say in explicit animations, always the animation controller is involved, but right over here we have something extraordinary happening on the screen. And again, throughout the code, you can see again I have a repetition, right? So the animation get repeats. We have a UFO. The UFO is passing a B. It's just opening the the entrance, and maybe some and just the beam light comes out from that UFO, right? So these animations, how it exactly working, let me just explain you that. Again, the UFO is not it's just an image. It's not written as a Flutter code. It's not a part of Flutter code. But yeah, the galaxy and the UFO is the image, but that light beam coming out from the UFO is written into the Flutter. And let me just explain you how I have done that. Okay, so I guess this answered the questions. For the first question I got from one guy, maybe I don't remember the name, but let me just go ahead and take a look. Who is that guy? Yes, okay, the Jugalbert, yeah. So the shape over here is of beam, which shows that the light is just coming out and it's just spreading when it travels distance, right? So this is again a shape which is created into the Flutter code. So this is a funnel shape, we can say, right? Or you can just imagine that this is a triangle shape, right? Now, the triangle shape is not available directly into the Flutter, or maybe the beam shape is not available directly into the Flutter. So you need to take care by writing the custom shapes, right? Now, how exactly the custom shape I have written over here is that right over here. So I have a container, right? So I created a container with a height of 1,000, right? This 1,000 height holds okay, so this 1,000 height holds the height exactly out of the screen, right? But on the top of that container of a height of 1,000, I'm using a clip path, right? So this clip path, take a clipper, right? And that beam clipper I'm using right over here. So now again, this beam clipper is not given by the Flutter. You need to write it, or you need to draw that onto the canvas. So let me just explain you how I have done that, or let me just go to the beam clipper. So right over here. So you can see the beam clipper is a class created, is a custom class, right? And I have an empty constructor. It extends a custom clipper path. Now I need to draw a funnel shape, right? For that, what I need to do is I need to draw a path, right? So maybe the path will be, let's just think or visualize that I want to draw a funnel shape, and funnel shape are always kind of a triangular shape. Let's just assume that, right? So what I do is I just start my line from the top, right? I take it to the end, right? So the two line comes in from the top, and it just like this. It just start from, let's say this is the top point of the triangle, right? So it just starts from here, right? And then it comes to the bottom, right? Now this has traveled this much. So you can see over here the size dot width divided by 2 and the size dot height divided by 2. So this is nothing but the x-axis and y-axis provided. So the when the lines, the draw or the path start from the top. So let's say the pointer is right over here. Okay, now the pointer is right over here, and I want to move my pointer to over here, so that I'll get a one line of triangle, right? Or the funnel shaped triangle. So what I will do, I'll just bring my one pointer to the bottom of my the size, height, and size width, right? And then what I do, I need to draw this line. So I need to go to the height. So again, I'll draw the same line, and I'll just close the path, right? So it just create the funnel shape. But again, this is quite complex. You need to understand how exactly it works. But this line 2 takes the x-axis and y-axis. So you can just make it out in your own way if you understand the axis, and I hope you understand the axis as well. So this is just a path, right? Now I have a funnel shape, but how did I created this the beam light coming out, and it's just fading from the top first, and then it just travel through the distance, and it just get wider, and it just fade down when it reaches to the distance, right? So on the top it is quite dark, and at the bottom it is quite light. Now, so you might be aware about, if you are a Flutter user, you might be aware about, we have a gradient, right? And I have used a radial gradient. So if you are not aware about the radial gradient, so the radial gradient is nothing but a gradient which has a circular gradient effect, right? So this is exactly the circular gradient effect. So in the center, I have a dark yellow color, right? And at the end of the circle, I have a transparent color. So as per the code, you can see over here, I have a yellow color, right? And then I have a transparent color. So you can see over here, when the animations move forward, right? The animation moves forward, and what happens exactly over here is that the top part is having a dark yellow color, but at the end there is no color. So it's just a transparent color, so you can see the background image. So we are just creating a visualization that when the light travels from enough distance, the light fades out, right? So that is the real life visualizations, that when you just turn on the torch, you will have a more light at the starting point, but as it travels the distance, it just become lighter and lighter, right? So I just created a box, right? Inside the box, I just filled the gradient as a radial gradient with yellow in center. In the circle, we have a yellow as in center, and at the bottom of the yellow, we have a transparent, right? And then we clip that container or a square. I'm sorry, or a square. We clip that square into a funnel shape using the custom clipper, right? And we call it as a beam clipper, right? Now I have a radius of 1.5, so it just higher the radius, it just spread more, right? So I have used 1.5. So at some specific reach of that height, right? So let's say it just start fading after 500. So over here you can see there is a fade at the end, right? Now here is the main thing comes into the picture, that is stops, right? So this stops takes in the value. So if I say 0 comma 0, so there will be no color available on the screen. So 0 comma 0 says that uh, it is about a length. So when you say 0 comma 0, so this gradient will be not available at all, right? So it will be not visible. So if you say 0.0 comma 1, so it might be available for half of 1,000, right? Not half, or maybe say maybe I'll say the 10% of 1,000, right? So it will be available only the 10%, right? But this is how exactly the animation is coming into the picture. So we gradually increase the value from 0 to 1, so that it becomes, when the animation start, it is 0.0, 0 comma 0, and then after some time it becomes 0.1. So it shows a bit of gradient available of as in light passing, and then it reaches to the 1. It means that we are reaching to 100%. So make sure over here the 1 is a 10% of 1,000, right? So this is how exactly we are making these animations come into the picture, right? Now over here again, I have created animation controller right over here, right, with a duration of 10 seconds. So in every 10 seconds the animation will be repeated, so you can see the animation is being repeated, right? And this animation controller generates a value from 0 to 1, as I said, 0.0 to 1.0, as I said before also. And that value we are using over here. So when animation starts, we have a stop of 0 comma 0. So there is no light. Then it becomes 0.01. So little bit of light. So you can see we have a little bit of light. And then it reaches to 0.02. It just increased the length, and we can see the light is passing or the light is coming on the ground. And in the same way, once it is reaches 1.0, we have a complete light coming to the earth. I'm sorry, on the ground, right? So yeah, this is a kind of good a way of doing this stuff. And yeah, you can add more things over here, but the important thing again over here is that what makes a point over here is that you're not using a set state over here as well, right? You're using animated builder, right? So when you know that you're going to have an animation on some object or some widget, so right now we are going to have an animation on this clip path, right? So this clip path, we are adding an animation on this clip path. So we are wrapping this clip path into our animated builder, right? So when you wrap your animation widget, which you're going to animate into an animated builder, you do not need to use a set state, because whenever the value changes, right, this value changes, because you are saying that the animated builder is going to have an animation, and what animation is the controller which you have provided. So this animation is attached with this vsync, that is nothing but the single ticker provider, right? And we have a duration of 10 seconds. So whenever the value of animation controller changes, it's just rebuild the builder, this one, right? So it just rebuild this part again, right? So when we use vsync, right, it means that we are attaching a listener to this particular variable, right? So when we use vsync, we attach a listener to this animation controller. What listener do is always it listens to the value, that what is the value. If value changes, it just rebuild the UI, right? So when it rebuilds the UI, you're going to see the animation, right? Because we are just going to see the updated value. First, it is going to be a 0. When it changes to 1.0 or maybe 0.1, it rebuilds the UI and we have an updated value over here. So it just makes that animation visible, right? And when you use this animated builder, it increases the performance as well, because you do not again need to take care of set state and stuff, because animated builder will take care with the help of listener, right? So yeah, uh, this is the, I would say this is the perfect way to, when you create a explicit animation, make sure you always use animated builder that enhance the performance of your widget tree, and you do not see the laggy animations as well. It will be just so smooth. And yeah, the animation is laggy over here is because I have converted the video towards a GIF, but still I cannot see the lag over here. But it is slow. It's not a laggy, but it's slow. That's all. If you want, I can just go ahead and show that in the real-time action. But again, it will be a bit laggy because of my system. But okay, let me use the bookmark build method UFO container. Okay, let me just change this to a UFO container. Okay, just let me know if you need this code. I'll be sharing somewhere on the GitHub. So I'm just going to share if you want, right? So let me know in the comment section if you want. I'll be sharing. Can this animation extends to Flutter web as well? Of course. See, the Flutter has a single code base. Whatever you're writing right over here, right? This animation is going to work on all the platforms, right? Whether it is web or whether it is your watch or whatever, because it's a single code base and it will be working fine on the web, on the Mac OS, on the Windows, and everywhere. So yeah, sure, I'll be sharing with the via GitHub. Okay, so okay, I need to make this come into the action. So let me just go ahead and trigger the app. Okay, so till the app triggers comes in, can we animate object from one screen to another? I guess I just yeah. Is there any way in which we can add 3D UI and animation in Flutter app without using Unity widget? Okay, the Flutter doesn't have a 3D API exposed right now, but again, I said that if we have a sequence of image available from all the angles, we can just keep that image and uh, we can make a visualization that it's a 3D image, right? So the Flutter doesn't have a 3D API exposed right now, but if you want to achieve 3D animations into the Flutter, what you can do is you can have a sequence of image, right, from all the angles. Let's say this is the hand and you want to rotate the hand like this, then you need to have all the angle image, right? And that angle image, you need to write an animation which actually with the help of animations which actually change all the image as well. So as per the time, it is just going to change the image. So here is the animation into the action, and you can see there is a nice light beam coming out from the UFO, and it is pretty smooth, right? So I'll be sharing via GitHub. You can just go ahead and take a look, and you can just go ahead and play around with this animation. But again, there are more animation coming into in the we have already passed like 1 hour. I just don't want to take more time, so I'll be showing some more animations which I have achieved while playing with the animation. Believe me, that was not my target, but somehow I achieved by playing the APIs of the animations. So let me just go ahead and show you that. Okay, so over here I have these animations created. But yeah, the animation which is on the send button was intentional, of course. I just saw somewhere on some, maybe I don't remember, but somewhere I saw that send image, I mean the send button, and I just replicated into the Flutter code. So on the other hand, on the first, we can see the Pac-Man animation going on. But again, this animation is done using the canvas. So the animation which is available for the animation for the Pac-Man and the Flutter Heart is done using a canvas. So it's a bit complex. So you need to understand the basics of the animations, and eventually if you understand the basics, you can go ahead and start playing with this kind of stuff as well, right? But the animation done over this type is not done on the complex, I mean on the canvas. It is just using animated size and animated container. I have an article written on the Medium for this animation as well. You can just go ahead and take a look on that article as well. Apart from that, for this Pac-Man, I have a video on the YouTube on my channel. You can just go ahead and take a look how I have created like it's kind of 1 hour video. I have just used some math over here to make this, but I just wanted to show that as well. If I can just show you over here. Right, this doesn't need a context. Let me go to the loader class first. Right over here. So you can see I have a custom paint, right? So I have used a canvas to draw this Pac-Man. So again, this answered the question for the first question, what was asked by the person. So again, this is a custom shape, right? First, I draw the shape as a circle, and then I just remove some part of the circle, which creates a visualization that the Pac-Man is opening the mouth, right? So the open angle is nothing but how much circle I want to cut, right? That is coming from the animation value over here. So you can see over here, I have created animated controller, which I have attached with 200 milliseconds. And I have a twin animation going from 1.2 to 1.0. So basically, I want to cut my, I want to open a mouth from 1.2 to 1.0, right? So this is nothing but an angle, but this is kind of complex animation. So you need to understand a little bit of math over here. And over here again, I have used the reverse as true. So once it is closed, from the closed position only, it gets open, right? Let me just bring that animation into an action so that you guys can understand more what's happening on the screen. All right. Okay. So let me just go ahead and take a look let us just go ahead and take a look on what Pac-Man is having inside the class, right? So inside the Pac-Man, what I have done is that I have extended the custom painter so that I get all the access on the canvas and I can draw whatever I want. So using this paint method, what I have drawn one arc that is nothing, two arcs basically, that is nothing, two semicircles, right? A two semicircle which is on the top and which is on the bottom. So if we attach two semicircles, we get a complete circle, right? So I have drawn a two arc which has a two semicircles, and then what I do is using the angle, I just cut the semicircle, both semicircle from the right hand side. So when I just cut it, it just make a visualization that the Pac-Man is opening a mouth, right? So over here, this draw arc takes an angle that at what angle I want to complete my semicircle, right? So the semicircle, this is the complete semicircle. But if I give an angle that I want to complete my semicircle right over here, so it just get completes over here. So it makes a visualization that the mouth is open for the Pac-Man. So you can see the mouth is being open and closed with the help of this method. So you can see this open angle is coming from our animated controller, right? So this value is first, it will have 1.2 and then it goes to the 1.0, right? So yeah, I'll be providing this code. You can just go ahead and again take a look over there. But yeah, this is the complete canvas present in front of you. You can draw whatever you want, right? Apart from the Pac-Man, I have one more thing to show you, is that the Flutter Heart. For that, maybe I don't know the name of the class, maybe my widget. I guess no, my widget is the button one. But just go ahead and take a look. I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't know why my hot reload is not working at all. This is weird. When I was making this demo app, it was working totally fine, but right now it is having some problem. I don't know. Let me just rebuild. Okay. Oh yeah, it is a Flutter heart. So you can see I have created a heart, right? Again, this heart is drawn using canvas. So this is not an icon, but this is created using a canvas. So again, some math is involved in this, but I just read somewhere on the internet, using the math we can draw the heart. So it involves some parameters, right? So you can see I have a static heart class right over here. So you can see I'm just creating a path, right? And it just involved this the sine and cos, right? So yeah, to be frank, I don't remember this calculation, but when I created the heart, I know I understood that how exactly the calculation is working. But yeah, I managed to do this calculation, and I just created the heart using this calculation, and then I created a path which follows the corner of the heart, right? So yeah, this is the Flutter heart. Again, this is I guess, yeah, this is not available somewhere, but I will be sharing on the GitHub. This the whole code is in the same file. And apart from that, I have one more button. Okay, that is my widget one. Yeah, I got to know. Yeah. So that button animation, let me just go ahead and that is, I guess, one. Oops. It is my widget one. I Okay. Oh, the hot reel would work. Is it my widget one or my app one? I'm sorry, I don't remember the name. Yeah, it is my app one. Cool. So just take a look over here. I'm going to press ascend, and that animation happens. And once it is done, we get. Now you can find these animations on the Medium article. You can just go ahead and check it out. Yeah. So I hope you understood when to use explicit animation and when to use implicit animations. Uh, this was all about my findings and my research. Again, I'm not an expert, creating stuff in the Flutter. But yeah, I do some research and I just try to share it, whatever the research I have done, and I'll try to share my code so that the newbies can learn from this code and they can play with the code as well. So I hope this was useful and informative as well, especially for the animation part of the Flutter. Uh, you can always contact me on the Twitter. I will be ready to help you anytime. Anytime means whenever I'm free, of course. But yeah, you can reach out me on the Twitter. That's my Twitter handler right over there. You can just take a look at that white name. So yeah, I guess if you have any questions, we can go ahead and take a look on the questions, and we can wrap it off if it is not. Yeah, you can find the social media links in the description as well. So let me just stop my application. It's just consuming more memory. Okay, yeah. So yeah, that's all from my end. And yeah, happy Flutter Day. We are quite late, but yeah, happy Flutter Day. Okay. I guess you are on the mute right now.
I'm really sorry, sir.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's fine. That happens. That
Thank
happens
you
to me
so much,
daily.
sir. Thank you so much, sir. It was a very insightful session. On the special occasion of Flutter Day, I hope all our viewers got to learn something new out of this session. Okay,
Yeah.
sir, if there is any one piece of advice that you would like to give to the viewers who are just getting started with Flutter, what would it be?
If you're just getting started with a Flutter, uh, I would say that you need to understand how exactly the things work, right? You need to, by just seeing video you cannot make it out, right? You need to
Yeah.
actually write a code, to get into the Flutter development, so that maybe not today, but after 6 months you can create a production app for the Flutter, right? So by just seeing a video or a tutorial, you cannot learn anything. I would highly recommend, if you're starting with the Flutter, just go ahead and start implementing, or whatever the video you're watching, just follow that video, just try to do what exactly they are doing in the video, right? So that will be the best part to get started. So yeah, making your hands dirty on the keyboard will always give you an experience, and you will actually learn more by not just seeing the video and just implementing this stuff. So that is the main things which we have to do as a Flutter developer.
Okay, basically practical knowledge is much more important for learning
Right.
Flutter. Okay. Okay, thank you so much.
Starting with the Flutter is not just if you're a newbie and if you just have a few knowledge of object oriented programming, then it is pretty easy, because there is nothing new over here. It has the same concept what we have for other object oriented programming language. There is a syntax difference, but you can just learn with the time, and you need to be active, because whenever new release comes in the Flutter, the Flutter team itself comes over there and explain you how exactly it works. When the null safety come into the picture, it was a huge kind of videos coming out, and everyone was sharing that we are converting a null safety and all. So yeah, you need to be active somewhere on the social media to learn new things as well.
Okay, sir. With this, we can wrap up this amazing session. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for having me.
Thank you.